Hi, this is Kiana Miner. Welcome to the Crazy Courage webinar where we are busting success myths and learning how to live more courageously. Today I'm so excited. We have with us Stowe Dailey. Stowe is a singer-songwriter and a best-selling author. She is also a recent cancer survivor, so I know we're going to have an awesome conversation with her today. Welcome, Stowe.
Aw, thank you. It's good to be here with you.
Thank you. It's good to have you here. So I guess can we just start out by you telling us a little bit more about yourself and what kind of give us an introduction to what courage has meant for you in your life?
Wow. Well, I think for anyone, it takes a lot of courage to make it on this earth plane. It's like we're challenged every day, and I've certainly been challenged throughout my life. As I look back, my mom died when I was 3, and I was put in different foster homes, and a lot of what I got early on was a message of fear, and there was a fear in me that I wasn't good enough and that I couldn't do what I wanted to do, really. But and it's taken a lot of courage to do what I do because I'm in the public eye, and it's scary to go up on stage. It's not the worst thing. It's not the scariest thing you can do, but it takes courage.
It
Yeah.
certainly does. Yeah, it definitely does. So you lost your mom when you were 3. Okay, and she died of cancer.
She did. She did.
Okay. How did that sort of not having sort of that foundation, how did that affect you growing up?
Well, it caused me to build what I call a happy wall around me. For instance, I didn't want people to feel sorry for me.
Okay.
So, the thing, they go, oh, where's your mom? And I go, oh, my mom died. And people would be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I didn't want them to feel sad because, I don't know, maybe it's a woman thing, but I wanted to make people happy. So I would say, oh, it's not a big deal, And in fact, of course, it is a big deal. So you can only do so much stuffing of pain before it eventually comes out, and it did come out later in life in my 40s, and I dealt with all that. Yeah.
Okay. Could you talk about a little bit more about your own struggle with cancer and overcoming that?
Yeah, I would dare to say that my cancer has a lot to do with stuffing so much inside of me. Stuffing, like I said earlier, I never felt really like that I was as talented, talented enough to be out in the world doing my thing. For instance, my voice wasn't good enough, or my songs weren't good enough, or my guitar playing. I had a long list of things that I felt were wrong with me.
Now, I find that amazing because I've heard your music and that you once thought that it wasn't good enough to put out. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the trick that the mind plays on us. Each of us are gifted in unique and incredible ways. Right. And we all really need to be out there pursuing that thing which makes our hair stand on end, our passion. Yeah. And still, so many of us feel like, oh, I'm not as good as so-and-so.
Okay.
Or it's just painting. Why does anybody want to see my paintings? Or, I like gardening, but, who cares about that?
Right.
We downplay these things that we're given that make us happy and also make others happy, when we do them. So, like I say, I stuffed my gifts down inside of me. I poo-pooed them. I did everything I could to say they weren't good enough, and I went for. I had success in the Nashville music industry, but once I left that arena and went off to have children and everything, I just said, you know what? I'm not really that good, and I'm not going to play. And I think it really hurt my spirit not to play my guitar and not to write songs, which I've been doing since I was 11.
Okay.
So, so in 2008, I was diagnosed with rectal cancer.
Okay.
It's a real pain in the, and this caused me to stop and really examine my life in a very deep way. It took me totally off track of what I was doing, and yeah, it was very painful to go through. It was difficult,
Okay.
but it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. I would say it's one of the best gifts I've ever gotten.
Okay. I think it's amazing that you can call it a gift. You know what I mean? That you've gotten to the place where you have the insight that you can say that that was a gift. Talk more about that. How did you get there, and in what ways has it been a gift for you?
Well, I'll tell you, Kiana, I was ready to leave the world. After 2 years of having cancer, and the only way they said that I might be saved was if I would have a colostomy surgery. And they weren't giving me very good odds of living. And, I just thought, this is not worth it. It's, why am I here anyway? I mean, I hate that I say this because I have 2 beautiful girls and I knew that they needed me. But somewhere, I know I was very depressed at the time. And somewhere in my mind, I came up with, oh, well, my mother died and I got along okay. And they have a wonderful father and they'll be okay. And, well, it took coming to the edge of death before I finally got this message that came to me and said, fear doesn't stop you from dying. It stops you from living. And I was afraid to have the surgery. But I finally went within. I said a prayer. I said, God, do you want me to have this surgery? Well, I sure don't want it. And the answer very clearly in my spirit, in my body, said, yes, there's more work for you to do. And I was like, oh, brother. Okay, well, when I decided to have it, this, by the way, was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, and it took a lot of courage, I think. But once I decided to have it, I decided, well, if I'm going to have to wear a bag, which is not the most glamorous thing to do, I'm going to have to do it with humor. And that's I don't know, I went into the surgery like a no person. I came out of the surgery a yes woman. And I've been saying yes ever since. And the more I say yes, the better my life gets. And the more I flow with who I am, where I embrace who I am, where I'm not ashamed to say, yeah, I have a bag and I have, I have emotional and sexual abuse in my past. I have these things. They're nothing to be ashamed of. It's just life. And I take those things and I put them out into the world, and I find that lots of other people have these issues too. And when we dare to share, you give others the courage to be who they are, to share their journey. And that makes us closer as people, and it also makes us stronger and more courageous to go on because, hey, what? I'm not alone. We're not alone. So
I love that. I love that you can have humor around it, and I love the lightness, of your spirit as you talk about your journey. It shows that you really have come to peace with it, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's awesome. You talked about prayer when you were sort of asking if you should get this surgery. Has that been an important part of your journey? Is that something that kind of kind of sparks your courage?
Yeah, when a doctor says to you, you have this potentially fatal disease, or, you know, a car wreck happens, or you lose your best friend or your spouse or your child, you go into a place that feels like you're alone. There's no one. There's not a person, you believe, on this planet who can truly know where you are in that moment. And in that moment, for me, the only thing I could do is like hold up in a fetal position and say, help!
Right.
You know? And, I mean, for me, God was all I had, and prayer, you know, was how I could communicate. And I communicated quite a bit, and still do. Yeah. It's the connection that kind of makes, well, I mean, you know, when you're going into fearful thing that you're afraid of and you want courage, you know, a prayer usually brings you a little bit of peace.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It does the same thing for me too. What are some other things that you do in your life? I know you have prayer and you have your music. What are some other self-care techniques that you do to stay connected?
That's a good question. Well, I think being quiet is a great part of quieting the mind. So meditation, I like to, as often as I can, I like to start my day and end my day with a time of being quiet. And I feel like it's like if I think of myself as a cell phone, and when I'm not connected, you know, after a few days, weeks, my battery begins to run down, and I start noticing that everything is kind of confusing in my life. It's not easy. It just all becomes hard. And so just even a few minutes of quieting the mind, stop the worry, because worry is wrong use of imagination.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I heard that. So I think it's very important to remember that. It is the wrong use of imagination, and just like shut everything down and take a few, and then that's like plugging your cell phone back in. Now you can go back on. You can do your whatever you have to do with your cell phone or yourself. And so I do that. I think exercise is important. I always feel, you know, if I start to feel down and I haven't exercised in a while, just a good lifting weights or doing something where it stretches my muscles and everything, that always makes me feel better. Okay. And good food is good too, although I have a hard time with that when I'm on the road.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. What about your creativity? You talked about a period of time where you weren't creating music, and now you're kind of flowing in your creativity. Could you talk about sort of the difference between how your life is now, that you're indulging in the very thing that you feel is your gift to the world, as opposed to when you weren't doing that?
Okay, when I was having, it's not that I wasn't creative, because I've always been pretty creative, but when I had the most difficulty with it was when I was trying to fit my creativity into what I thought the world wanted from me. So I was in a business, I was writing music on Music Row for the country music world, and that was like being in a box. And it was hard, you know, and it took all of the joy. I mean, it took about 5 or 6 years for me to have all the joy out of songwriting. All of a sudden, I don't like songwriting anymore, and I didn't even know why. It just wasn't, it's like, well, I guess I'm not good at it. But after my cancer experience, or during my cancer experience, I began doing a lot of meditation. I think that had a lot to do with reconnecting. And then I found, you know what? I can write any kind of song I want to. It doesn't have to look like what the world says a song has to look like. And oh my gosh, there's such freedom. The freedom in being yourself. It's so hard to try to be something else. You know? And it's so easy when you just let go and let yourself flow. You know, the way you were meant to be. who you were born to be, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I get connected. And again, the quiet has a lot to do with that, taking time to be quiet. Because just even like the more quiet time you put in, I think the greater creative output you have.
Okay. I think that's so true. And I love how you talk about just how easy it is to just be yourself. Because I feel like there's been times in my life where I didn't realize that the difficulty in life was because I was trying to be someone else. You know what I mean? Like, it felt tired and it felt, it just didn't feel as open and as joyful. And I'm only now starting to understand that, oh, it's because I was doing something that wasn't true to me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at you, what you're doing.
Oh.
This is amazing.
Thank you.
Get it, girl.
Yeah, I love this because I think, storytelling is really important to me. And I think we need these stories. You know what I mean? I think we need these positive stories of, okay, this is how I've been able to be courageous. This is how I've been able to be myself. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're a beautiful light.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank
so
you.
What, you talked about the surgery. Do you have any other courageous moments that you'd like to share with us? Like moments where you've had to kind of get the oomph to do something that you didn't feel like you could do?
Yeah, well, I think we build our courage day by day in little ways. And, like a lady came up to me the other day after a show and she said, I heard you talking about fear. And she said, I'm so frightened. I can't do anything. She said, do you have any advice for me? And I looked down at this long line of people that were waiting to talk to us. And so I was like, what can I tell this woman in just a moment? And I thought, well, if you put your dream in your right hand and you say, here's my dream, here's my passion, here is what I was born to do. It's all here. And then you take your fear and you put it in your left hand. This says, I'm not good enough. I can't do it. How will I do it? I don't have enough money. Blah, blah, blah. Worry, worry, worry. Worry is wrong use of imagination. Okay, so you got these two hands. And I told her, I said, what you want to do is put down the fear hand. Put that down and put your attention solely on what you want to do. Think about your passion, your happiness, your joy, your, what you were born to do and why you want to do it. Tell me why you want to do it and follow that. And anytime that you begin to start looking over at the other hand, try to remember, this is like, it's so easy, but it takes a lot of mind power. So just draw your attention back over to your right hand, looking at that, or not just on your hand, but on your, on your passion. So, I don't know. That's maybe not the answer that you asked for.
I love it. Go ahead.
I just think we build it, and I think we build our courage in little ways, like taking back our food when it's not prepared the way we want. And then in bigger ways, when a family member says, I don't like what you're doing. I think you're making a mistake. And you take a deep breath and say, you know what? Thank you for your opinion, but this is what I need to do. And so I do that myself. I take little baby steps of courage all the time, I set up dates to do shows that are a little bit scary to me. Can I pull it off? Can I do a good job? And I set it out there and I can't get out of it once I've set it up.
That's always a great trick.
Yeah.
Because once it's scheduled, you have to figure out a way to get out there, right?
Yeah. So, courage building happens on a daily basis. So every day that we can do at least one little step, like make a call, try, figure out, start saving, if you need money to do your project, whatever it is, start saving that money for that project. Writing down what it's going to feel like when you have that project complete. And, just, do you need to connect with people to help you? And I believe one of the most important things that we can do to reach wherever we want to go is to ask the right questions. And, so whatever you want to do, start asking the questions like, who do I need to talk to accomplish this thing? And I just always believe that that person is going to be drawn to you just from the asking of that question. That's how my duet partner came into my life.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I was like about 5 or 6 months out of the surgery, and I had this yearning to start writing with someone again. But all my friends were country music writers, and I didn't really want to write country music. And so I just said, who should I write with? And it was like a week later that I ran into Karen Taylor Good, and she was an old friend from back in the day. We used to write together, and my goodness, she and I got together, and we wrote a song like that. And in 3 years' time, we've written over 60 songs, and we've become a duet.
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
It's like the most amazing time of my life. I'm so excited.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, was she looking for a partner as well?
She didn't know it, but I think she was. She was considering to retire.
Wow.
She was not finding the joy that she used to have. And she was thinking, yeah, I've been doing this a long time. Maybe it's just time to quit.
Okay.
Well, my goodness, when we got together, it's just like the musical spark started flying. And we're gonna be doing a TEDx talk next month.
Oh, very cool. Oh, we'll definitely have to check that out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the topic?
It's going to be on Beautiful Brokenness, which is the title of one of our tunes.
Okay.
But more than that.
Right.
Now, how to embrace that what you think is broken inside of you, and just pretty much what I've been talking about.
Yeah, I love beautiful brokenness. Yeah, that's just an awesome concept. And I love the idea of baby steps, because I think a lot of times we can use a little bit of courage just to take that first step. And then you take another step after that, and then another step. And then before you know it, you've created something beautiful. So I love that imagery of the baby step.
Yeah.
Do you still get nervous when you go on stage?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Norman Vincent Peale, I don't know if you know who he is.
I do.
But, he said, when someone asked him, a friend of mine asked him, do you still get nervous when you go on stage? And he said, do you still get butterflies when you go on stage? And he said, oh, yeah. The key is to get them to fly in formation. Anyway, I just, I say a prayer. I take a few deep breaths.
Okay.
I imagine that I give thanks because I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I always get nervous.
Okay.
I feel the fear, and I do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah, because a lot of times the fear doesn't go away. And I do think some people try to wait until it does to kind of go for it. And it's like you got to go for it in the midst.
No, fear is in the midst of the fear is where all the good stuff happens, I think.
I love that.
And, yeah. It's like, have you seen that poster that has a tiny little dot that says your comfort zone?
Oh, yeah.
And it has this big circle, and it says where life happens, where all the good stuff happens, something like that. It's like you really do have to get out of your comfort zone.
And stay out of there.
And
not go back.
Yeah. Yeah, because, even I can get back. I can come home and stay home for a few weeks and be in my comfort zone, and it's like starting all over again to go out there.
Okay.
Oh, I'm shaking in my shoes to do TEDx.
Yeah, I bet. That's amazing. I think that's an amazing opportunity. I can't wait to hear you two.
Me too.
Was it like that when you authored your first book?
Yes, that's kind of nerve-wracking too.
Because it's a whole different experience than performing, you know?
Yes, it's very different.
Okay.
Yeah. My husband at the time is one who got me into writing books because I never would have written a book by myself, but he needed some help, and he said, "Oh, Stowe, please, they want this book in 3 months. Could you help me?" And I said, "Well, if I help you write a book, every other line is going to rhyme because I'm a songwriter."
Right. Okay.
But I got over that. Yeah, so
awesome.
we're excited. So my latest book, Flying High, has just been picked up by Guidepost. Have you heard of them?
Oh, I have.
Guidepost magazine. Yeah, they're going to do. They're changing the title, calling it Lessons of a Lifetime, but they're using it as their flagship for an inspirational book line that they're putting out.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, do you feel successful? Do you feel like you've made it?
That's a good question. I haven't thought like that. I remind myself that today is the only day that I know I have, and I ask, a lot of times I tend to think about in the future, oh, when this happens, and we make X amount of money, and this, whatever happens, it's going to be so great and so wonderful. And I remind myself continuously that, you know what, sweetie, today is the only day you have. Okay. And so I hope you're happy in this day. And if success is happiness in this day, I'm very successful.
Okay. I love that, because you're right. Today is all we have.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the healing continues for you as far as, the issues you had to heal with your cancer and with your past? Do you feel like that's a continuous process?
Yeah, it is. Right now I don't feel anything from it, but I know from experience that traumas that we've had in the past they come to us like layers of the onion as they talk. It's like you work through a layer and you go along for a while and things are good, and then another layer comes up. So yeah, I know I'll be working through it for the rest of my life because I had some really deep traumas happen to me. And but I have to say again, I'm grateful for them. They're like gifts, they are gifts. They taught me so much, and they made me who I am. And it's taken me a long time to learn to love myself, but I love who I've become, and I am that because of those things, that happen.
It's challenging looking at you, believing that you've ever gone through anything challenging. You know what I mean? Like, there's such a lightness about you, and there's so much joy. What more can you tell us about how to maintain that sort of open heart, even if you've gone through challenges in your life?
Wow, that's a good question. It's just been many years of letting go. Let's see.
Yeah, letting go is an important
one. Well, I had like a lot of people, we have voices from our past, that tell us things about the world. They tell us about ourselves. They tell us what we as a family believe. And, I just have had to look at those things and say, are they true? Were those were those things true? And yeah, and a lot of letting go, a lot of forgiveness. Forgive those who hurt me, and forgive myself for hurting others. Gosh, that's a big question. You know, I don't know how to answer that right away.
No, I think you're answering it. I think that's a beautiful answer. Yeah, I think forgiveness and letting go are two keys. So, yeah, I'm glad that you shared that insight.
Thank you.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you still. Hello? Hello? Oh, you're breaking up. And it sounds like this is really good. Oh, hello?
Are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Sorry you broke up for a minute. It sounded like that was really good. Do you mind starting that sentiment over?
I think the hardest person to forgive is so often ourselves.
Okay.
And we have to do it over and over again. You know? It's like I think what helped me see myself more clearly was a healer that I went to back when I had cancer.
Okay.
And she told me that I looked like my daughter. And I was very, I thought that was quite a compliment. My little girl was very beautiful. And then she said, I know that you had emotional and sexual abuse in your family, and that your father put you and your brother into foster care, and you had these things happen. And she said, I can only imagine that through that you must have felt unloved and abandoned. And it was very hard. I don't know, when she started saying that, it was really hard for me to hear it. Okay. And she asked me if I loved myself. Okay. And I said yes, but I don't think I really mean it, and I think she knew it. Okay. And she said, okay, here's what I want you to do. She said, I want you to close your eyes and imagine some of the bad things that happened to you as a child. And so I did that. And she said, now I want you to imagine those things happening to your daughter. And I just broke down. Okay. I mean, it's okay that they happened to me in my mind.
Right. But
when I thought about them happening to my daughter, oh my God, it broke my heart. I was like, no, that can't happen to my daughter.
Right.
That's awful. She doesn't deserve anything like that. Mm-hmm. And she said, now, she knew what was going to happen. She said, now I want you to see yourself like you see your precious daughter. And picture the beautiful child that you are, and love her. Love yourself like you love your daughter. And that really, it was the first time in my life that I saw myself as a little precious child of God. That, I wasn't a bad girl. I was just a girl that bad things happened to. And so, really, since that time, and that was about 5 years ago, I've been able more easily, day by day, to love myself and to love those things that are broken in me. And so, you know what? And I even this is a great practice. Talk to yourself like you would a little child that you love. You heard me a minute ago call myself sweetie.
Right.
It's like when I get up in the morning, I say, hey darling, how you doing? It's like I begin more, the more I do that, the more I show appreciation to myself. And the more I can appreciate myself, the more I can appreciate you and others out there. The people who are causing pain in this world are the ones that have so much pain inside. We all know that. But.
Yeah, they're hurting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was amazing because I think a lot of us will say that we love ourselves. You know, if you ask
Yeah.
someone that, we would say, of course, I love myself. But when you put it like that, because I have two children too, I have a 9-month-old and an almost 3-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I think of them, as you were, kind of telling me what the healer told you, I do see them so much different than I see myself. You know what I mean? Like they're these innocent, precious, little jewels, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, wait a minute. Well, what am I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I love that you put it that way because I think that does help us to see, okay, that's what love means. That's what it means to nurture sort of that inner child in ourselves. So,
Mm.
and that I can understand how that would have given you so much more freedom.
Really helped. I think that was one of the major aha moments I had in my cancer experience. And I wouldn't have had it otherwise because I wouldn't have gone there. Yeah.
So the cancer caused you to kind of go deeper into your issues and what you
Sure.
had been doing before.
Yeah.
Okay. Had you been to any type of therapeutic work before the cancer?
Yeah, I had, but I never really wanted to get too far into it.
Okay.
The therapist would hear a little bit of my life story, and they would go, "Oh, well, we need to book you out about a year or two. You need a lot of therapy. Let's just go ahead and write you down."
Right.
No, I don't think I want to do that.
Right. You kind of just wanted it to be over, maybe.
Yeah, I just wanted to get through whatever problem I was having at the moment.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of us do that.
Right. Yeah. It's human.
Yeah. How long ago was were you cleared of cancer?
4 years ago.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you've enjoyed these 4 years. They've been some of the best of your life.
Gosh. They've been amazing. And there's been a lot of, painful growth too, but still it's all good. It's all good.
That's awesome. How has you talked about, the relationship with your partner, your music partner. How has relationships been important to you in this new phase of life?
It's very important to me to be around I want to, people with a lot of light and positive spirit. You just when you come so close to dying, you just realize you don't have room in your life, time in your life to have to fight to make yourself heard, or I don't know. It's just life is precious. There's no need for a struggle and resistance in relationships. I understand that relationships are there to help us grow, and we will always have some struggle and problems in relationships. I know that, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think the word resistance, definitely. I definitely understand that. Because sometimes in relationships, even when we're meant to keep them, there may be some challenges, but sort of the constant resistance between who you are and that who that person is, I think is
right.
kind of
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. I think keeping people around you who are positive kind of helps to brighten your light. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I want to keep growing in every way, and I want to be learning, and so I want people that inspire me too.
Yeah, I think that's important. So what else do you have coming up? Do you have any more tours or anything else coming up?
You know what? You were blanking out there a little bit.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I said, what else do you have coming up? Do you have any tours or anything like that coming up?
Well, we're kind of in and out. The name of our duo is called Stowe Good. Stowe, and her last name is Good. So together we are Stowe Good. And we travel, you know, a few weeks out of each month.
Okay.
And we just got back from 10 days in Texas.
Oh,
I
awesome.
love Texas and all the people down there. And yeah, we leave in a couple of weeks for Indianapolis
Oh, nice.
and another gig in Indiana, and then we go to Washington D.C. for the TEDx talk.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, we get around.
Okay. Okay. Very awesome. So if people want to know kind of what you're working on and what's next for you, where would they go?
They would go to stowegood.com. That's STOWEOOD.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I'll put a link to that below so that people can just click on that
Okay,
link
great.
and kind of check out your website and see what you guys are up to. Did you have any last thoughts on courage that you wanted to share?
You know, I just think don't hold back from doing what you love to do, from that thing that you're passionate about. And I believe that when you move in the direction of that thing that you love, that you would do whether you got paid or not, you know, that just makes you totally happy, and then also usually makes other people happy. I believe if you just keep moving in the direction of that you'll find all the courage you need. Know that that's why you came to this earth, to do that thing. It's not an accident that you have these desires. It's not an accident. So know that the road has been paved for you, that there will be people to help you should you need them, that the resources that you need are there for you. And I think you find your courage when you begin moving in that direction and you see how easily it flows. And don't misunderstand me. I know that there'll be road bumps along the way.
Right.
Because usually the minute you decide to do something, a little bit of resistance starts coming in. Well, I'm too old, or, you know, whatever. There's all that stuff. But just keep your eyes focused on that thing you love. You'll have all the courage you need.
That's an amazing ending to this great interview. Thank you so much, Stowe, for participating and for sharing all of your wisdom with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. May you just grow in everything that you're doing too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.